We are hoping to talk to Dr. Layla McCay. She's director of the NHS Confederation, which speaks for all the whole health and care system. Layla, thanks for joining us.
Hello.
This is not a great situation with the world-beating testing and tracking situation, is it?
Yeah, I think it's a real concern, certainly when we need people who have symptoms to be able to quickly access tests and for them to not have to be moving around on public transport, having to travel far distances when they're not feeling well, having to come into contact with others, potential transmission, then it's really bad news to hear that suddenly people are being asked to travel such large distances. I can only hope this is a very temporary situation, because this is a real disappointment.
Well, I appreciate that, I mean, maybe travelling from York to Leeds might be something that you might do, but York to Aberdeen?
It sounds like an algorithm's got a bit overexcited there, absolutely. Hopefully this will be rapidly remedied, because the current situation doesn't sound like a very sensible thing to continue, does it?
And what does it do for confidence for people if they've got symptoms and they think they want to get themselves tested? I mean, they're not going to have a huge amount of confidence in the system, are they?
Well, the system itself, certainly there's enough confidence to be had in that, but the risk of having to travel very far away is certainly a problem, because it might put people off going to get tested. And as we all know, it's really important to get tested so that if you're positive, you can then trace all your various contacts, get the right people isolated, and prevent further transmission. I do think that people who have symptoms and need tests should persist with them, should explore the home options while the drive-in centres are not quite as convenient as they ought to be, and hopefully this is a situation that will get resolved quickly. But I can see why people might feel like they weren't going to bother getting a test, whereas of course it's a really helpful thing to do to get the test if you can.
Well, yeah, it gives us a better idea of how widespread the virus is, and
Exactly.
Obviously it controls the spread of it. But I mean, are you surprised that we appear to be reaching the situation where some of these test centres are maxed out? The government's saying it's facing problems because demand isn't smooth. At weekends it drops off, and weekdays it can be surges. I mean, I thought we'd gone past that.
I agree. It is a bit surprising, since the sort of problem that people are describing here today is quite similar to a problem that I remember talking about months ago at the start of the pandemic. Certainly, these things, doing any large-scale project like this can come with challenges. It's not always perfect, but I think that we would expect to see it working a bit more efficiently at this stage in the game. And it's ironic, of course, that this problem has happened on the same day as the announcements about the aspirations for mass testing. And I really think that everyone is going to have to work very, very hard to invest and improve the systems so that people do have access when they need it.
Have we gone down the wrong model here? I remember talking to a local voice here, Professor Colin Garner of antibiotic research, saying, look, we've got all these local labs. Why aren't they being used? Why do we have to rely solely on the big labs, which seem to be buckling under the pressure?
Well, there's now an ever increasingly complicated system of accessing all the various places that can process the tests, and it sounds like they've run into some kind of difficulty for which we've not got exactly the right explanation. We're hearing that they're really focusing all the resources on hotspot areas, but at the same time, any area could become a hotspot, and we really need the testing to be able to know whether that's the case and to nip it in the bud if we can. So I think it's concerning for the NHS if people are not being tested and we're not knowing where those potential hotspots might be.